What's something you were told you would grow out of but never did? Cannonballing into pools. A couple years ago, we were staying at a hotel and I decided to head down to the pool for a quick swim while my boyfriend took a shower. I don't know what took over me, but the second I set my towel down and kicked my sandals off, I felt compelled to charge towards the pool and aggressively cannonball into the deep end. Did it? It felt great. Then I resurfaced and saw how big the waves were and how many kids and parents looked horrified. I did an awkward lap and left lol. It's a lifestyle. My boyfriend. We started dating when I was 16 and he was 18. I went to a local community college after HS and several family members thought it was because of that boy. I was told you will look back and regret at not going to a big university when you break up. Well, it's been over 15 years and we are still happily together and I'm grateful every day that I never got $40,000 in student loans for college. PPL I graduated debt-free with the same license I would have had at university. 80s thrash metal. Still my favorite music after 40 years of listening to it. Mom and my older sisters were like, that's not music, they just scream as if they are in pain, no melody, just horrible. It's just a phase. Eating bread with Nutella on it for breakfast once or twice a month. My siblings and I were kids, Mom used to say Nutella is made for kids, not for adults. When you're grown up, you won't like it anymore. Yeah, Mom was wrong twice. I knew it, haha. Feeling a certain way about how I was treated by my shitty parents as a kid. Everyone told me someday I would grow up and understand and want a relationship with them. I see the situation really clearly now, to some extent I even understand why they are the way they are. A small part of me has even forgiven them. But I would never want to see or talk to them again. My life is happier and more fulfilling without them and it bringing me down all the time. I became a vegetarian when I was 13 and it's just a fad was on the nicer end of the reactions I got from my otherwise very loving family. I was a pretty serious kid and not otherwise one to be into fads, so in hindsight that was a kind of odd thing to assume. I'm still a vegetarian at 45 and don't have any plans to stop. It took them about 10 years to figure out they should probably stop giving me shit about it. Lol. Depression and sadness. I think, truthfully, it's because I'm too smart for my own good. I wish I was dumb and naive, but I see issues with everything everywhere I go. Things most people don't even care to think about or do anything about. Also, having a very strong moral ethical compass doesn't help either, especially in this world. Watching the news is just another way of saying I'm watching the world burn to me. Practically everything. My taste in music, hip hop. The fact I play video games, still do. My taste in movies, horror, preferably slashers. My political opinions, I'm still liberal. My dislike of religion was told I was being an edgy teenager, I'm 30 now lol. My TV show preferences, South Park, Family Guy, The Simpsons etc. The fact I like manga anime like Dragon Ball and One Piece lol nope, still love them. Not wanting kids. I've never wanted kids, and everyone around me acted like I would change my mind or regret my decision, especially when I got my tubes tied. My husband and I are now solidly middle-aged, and still feel that not having kids was the best decision we ever made. Edit to note that my husband never got half the shit that I did when he said he didn't want kids. Being a Democrat. An high school history teacher told us that if you aren't a Democrat when you're young then you have no heart, and if you aren't a Republican when you're old then you have no brain. Fuck that noise, that's just justification for your heartless politics. Fast forward 25-ish years, and now I'm an anarchist. Black flag. Video games is a big one. I basically get paid to play video games now and remind my dad of that regularly. Also, not wanting kids. For at least a decade I got the usual it'll change when you're older, meet the right person, establish yourself in life and want something more etc. After 20 years, it stopped almost entirely. Video games. When I was a kid and wanted a Nintendo I was told I would grow out of video games and shouldn't play them. I'm almost 47 now and I have more games than ever before and love them more than ever. And I have a Switch with Nintendo Switch Online so I can play the old Nintendo games that I missed playing as a kid. Being a leftist. My university GF's mother had seriously retrograde views on all sorts of issues. I argued with her. She said, "You'll move to the right, just wait until you have to pay taxes." Well, here I am, more than 30 years later, paying taxes like a motherfucker and probably more left-wing than when I was studying. Being a vegetarian. My parents both made it tough for me when I decided to make the change as a teenager, and I think they were under the impression that if they made my life difficult enough, I would just give it up. 17 years later, Here we are. Spite definitely played a role in me sticking to my guns for sure. Being liberal. I was told throughout my life that as I became more mature my outlook would become more conservative. Nope, if anything I'm more liberal than when I was young on most issues, and given the state of the GOP and what passes for conservative philosophy these days I don't ever see that changing. Loving heavy music. I discovered it when I was 12 and have never stopped loving it. People always said I would grow up one day and listen to country like real adults do, but fuck that. I'm currently sitting in my classroom listening to the White Stripes and Alice in Chains, Rock on Gesture, wanting to be nice to people, especially people I don't know. When I was a kid adults always told me I'd understand why they were mean cruel to others when I got older, that I just hadn't experienced the real world. Turns out I still think they were just jaded jerks. The 150 pounds cashmere jumper I bought with my first pay at 15 years old. 33, still fits. Same with the Levi jeans I bought the following month. I was a stocky rugby playing teen back then. I've pretty much maintained a similar weight and physique for 15 years. Video games. Started gaming at around 3-4 years old with the original Super Mario Bros. Almost 25 years later and am still gaming. Old school and modern games, whatever looks fun and interesting. I guess I was born a gamer and am gonna die a gamer. No regrets. My clothes from my late teens. I still use them for yard work. Told everyone I wouldn't get taller or get fat. It's taken zero effort to stay this height. The weight thing has in fact taken effort after I turned 30. But pants, shoes, and t-shirts still fit. Dinosaurs. Fucking dinosaurs. If it's a show aimed for little kids, I will sit there and watch it while critiquing the character designs. I do the same with the documentaries based on non-structures I look up of the dinosaur they talk about. For me, it's definitely my fascination with science fiction and fantasy books. When I was younger, some people thought I'd grow out of reading these genres, but I'm still an avid fan, and those imaginative worlds continue to captivate me. Pokémon, heavy metal, animated shows and movies. Pretty much all the things I enjoyed as a kid I still enjoy. I'm glad I grew up in a time where being an adult didn't mean you had to forget what it was like to be a kid. I hated talking on the phone as a kid. I could be sitting next to it and would refuse to answer it. Pissed my mom off like crazy. Now? You can call but I ain't gonna answer. Leave a message and I'll text you back later. Not wanting a serious relationship. Or kids. I'm only 29, so I might still change my mind, but every year that passes and especially this year, since I started working on my first job I wanted less and less. My love of dinosaurs. As a kid I cried over dinosaurs getting killed by a meteor and now I still lose my mind when I get a news notification that they found a new dinosaur in China or Argentina or wherever. Wearing band shirts, regular t-shirts in general. Mid-30s now, and that's still 75 of my wardrobe. Also I still absolutely cannot stand wearing jeans. Oh, and not wanting kids. Still have no desire at all. Being shy, it's just untreated and ignored social anxiety that was treated once in the summer between 8th and 9th grade and pretty much neglected before and after. I'm an introvert and basically antisocial now. Bisexuality. Although I suppose I did realize I was asexual, so kinda right on a technicality. Biromantic asexual, which I think is hilarious because it makes it sound like I'm attracted to pins, smiley face. Honestly, still love Disney movies. Not to the same extent as before. I won't watch them over and over again. But if my little nieces are visiting, you better believe I'm watching Encanto with them. Loving Marvel and DC action figures. As a grown-ass adult I have probably 1,000 of them that I've collected over the decades, all in pristine condition and still in their original packaging. In junior high school, my older sister told me, when you get to high school, you can just do things the night before. I was still pulling all-nighters before deadlines into my mid-30s. My stutter. I did speech therapy for a while and got it to a pretty good point and was told I would likely grow out of it. I haven't, if anything it's gotten a little worse in recent years. My parents thought it was my depression. And the fact that I like the color black. But my mother, scared face, heck no could I wear all black. Had plenty of arguments too about my choice of clothes. On my 10th birthday, which was Pokemon themed, my parents mocked me and said when I was an adult, I wouldn't even like Pokemon anymore. Well, I'm 29 now and still fucking love Pokemon. Not wanting children. I was told so much when I younger that I'd change my mind, that I'd grow out of it, 30 odd years later, and nope. Not grown out of it one iota. Collecting rocks. I love rocks. I went for a hike the other day, and came back with my pockets full of rocks and two big ones in my hands. I'm 31. Can't stop, won't stop. Chicken nuggets for every meal, especially homemade. I'd have said hot dogs, but I'm cutting down on eating preserved foods in general unless I am the one who made them. I think this is a pretty universal one, but video games. Great stress reliever, and anything story focused is just as good if not better than binging a Netflix show. Reading comics. I'm not a fanatical collector like I was in my teens, but I constantly borrow collections of classic reprints and graphic novels from the library. Video games, but that's changing. I rarely care to, even though I recently bought a few I was interested in playing but haven't opened yet, just never in the mood. Pokemon, or more broadly just watching anime. Metal music. Growing my hair long. Sleeping in until noon when I've got no responsibilities for the day. Having no sense of direction. It became really apparent when I learned how to drive in the 70s. My dad assured me I'd grow out of it. Never did. Video games. It'll always be my main hobby and the last one I'd ever give up. Not wanting children. Enjoying going out for drinks and or dancing. Ever since I was a kid I was an diaresis outcast. Diaresis, mom's words not mine, so the phase that was never a phase and was just recently diagnosed autism, skull, liberalism, progressiveness. They told me I'd vote conservative when I got older. I'm so liberal I'm almost communist. Fuck conservatives. Not much, but I've become much sillier as I've aged. I'm cool with it. Cool with the whole midlife crisis thing too. It's underrated.